Welcome to AI for Good, the leading action-oriented, global and inclusive United Nations platform on AI. Organized by ITU, in partnership with 40 UN sister organizations, and co-convened with Switzerland. The goal of AI for Good is to identify practical applications of AI to advance the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and scale those solutions for global impact. In today's session, we're counting on you to use the live video wall feature to ask questions and post comments to help create an engaging discussion. We encourage you to stay until the end to chat, connect, ask questions, and network with our distinguished panelists and world-class AI experts in the neural network. It is now time to kick off the session and welcome our first speaker. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Anna. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from me as well. I am Guilherme Martinez Roura from the International Telecommunication Union, and I would like to welcome you all for joining today's AI for Good Innovation Factory live pitching session, Meet the Robotics Startups Advancing Sustainable Development, organized by the ITU as part of the AI for Good Innovation Factory series. The AI for Good Innovation Factory is the leading UN-based startup pitching and accelerator platform that assists startups in expanding and scaling their innovative AI-powered and SDG-driven solutions, offering multitude of opportunities, including global pitching, funding connections, top-tier mentoring, VIP experiences, exclusive events access, and participation in our Startup Accelerator program, networking, and much more. The platform has attracted over 3,000 startups that apply every year to participate in our monthly online and in-person pitching sessions. Supported by more than 50 international judges, 4 of which you're going to meet today, this year-long competition culminates with the top finalists participating in the AI for Good Global Summit in Geneva, during which we organized the AI for Good Innovation Factory Grand Finale, the final demo day event where startups pitch to a panel of investors and philanthropists for potential funding. The Robotics for Good, as part of the AI for Good Innovation Factory, is a series of pitching sessions open to any innovative startups developing intelligent autonomous systems to accelerate progress towards the SDGs. And the winner of today's session will be invited to the AI for Good Innovation Factory Grand Finale in Geneva during the AI for Global Summit 25 from the 8th to the 11th of July. So without further ado, I would like to give the floor to Brandon Andrews. He's the co-founder of Gauge. And Andrews, the floor is all yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Guillaume, and welcome everyone to today's Robotics for Good Innovation Factory pitch. We have some incredible entrepreneurs from across the world that are not only working on some of the latest and greatest technology when it comes to robotics, but they're also driving positive change and supporting the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. We've got 4 great companies, and I know you can't wait to hear from them. But first, let's meet our judges. I know they're going to have a tough job. Let's hear a little bit from them and their backgrounds. First, I'd like to introduce Medea Nosantini. She is senior partner at Global Ventures, and she's also founder of Companies Creating Change, C3. Next, Iran Rosenberg. He's the Inception Partner Manager at NVIDIA. Next, Joyce Sadopoulos, co-founder and chief of operations at Mass Robotics, and Carlo Tortora Braida de Belvedere, executive chairman at the National AI and Cybersecurity ISAO. Judges, welcome to our Innovation Factory pitch today. Joyce, I'd like to start with you really quickly. At Mass Robotics, I know you're focused on robotics technology. What do you look for in a great robotics startup?
Actually, it's really about the people and the founders and their drive and their passion to basically solve a problem. So we don't necessarily evaluate the technology, but the people, and are they a good fit in a, community type environment. We do a lot of sharing of information here.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, Joyce. In addition to being an entrepreneur myself, I've also done casting for business shows on television like Shark Tank for the better part of a decade. And I hear a lot of great ideas, a lot of great concepts, but the big question often is, does this management team, does this group of people have the ability to be able to actually reach the full potential for the business? So Joyce, that makes a lot of sense. Carlo, I want to come to you next. I know you have met a lot of entrepreneurs and judged a lot of pitch competitions over the years. Carlo, any final tips for our entrepreneurs before they get started today?
Yeah, I'd say, speak from the heart. Let your passion go, let it be evident. From my perspective, what's really important is that you align to the Sustainable Development Goals. That's really what this is all about. But also that you've got a sound business strategy and that you've really thought about your partnerships, your go-to-market. And at the end of the day, I'm very keen to see that you've also taken a little bit care of your cybersecurity, because that's one of the top concerns that we all have in the world of AI right now.
Incredibly important to make sure that we're not only leveraging this new technology that has incredible benefits, but that we're also taking care to ingest data in a way that is secure and also in a way that respects privacy and data rights. And we also want to make sure that we have proper human checks on AI as we continue to build with the technology. Those are great suggestions, Carlo.
Exactly.
Okay, so I know you'll get an opportunity to hear from some of our other judges a little bit later in the event today. Let's get right into the pitches. Again, we have 4 entrepreneurs or 4 businesses from all over the world that are building robotics innovations that are impacting and supporting the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. We're going to start with Mito as the first pitch today. But before Mito gets started, I want to tell you the rules. Each business will get 5 minutes to pitch. That 5 minutes will be followed up by 10 minutes of Q&A from the judges. After that 10 minutes is completed, I'll give the judges a second to tabulate any scores, and then we'll move on to the next business. So, Mito Robotics team, are you ready to pitch?
I'm ready.
Awesome, awesome. Well, give us your name, the name of the business, and then we'll start the clock.
Awesome. So my name is Bing, and the business is called Mito Robotics. Awesome. So I'm gonna get started. So my name is Bing, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Mito Robotics. We are developing an AI-powered robot for life science research. So cell culture is the foundation of all biological research. However, over 90% of it is still performed manually, significantly slowing the progress from idea to testing due to the low yield of cells, inconsistent results, and contamination risk, as well as high cost. Therefore, we developed a robotic scientist to assist human scientists by culturing high-quality cells for improved reproducibility, conducting more experiments to enhance scalability, handling diverse cell types with flexibility, and reducing operational cost with efficiency, ultimately accelerating breakthroughs in life science. The robotic scientist combines the AI computational power with robotics mechanical precision to learn, to optimize, and execute cell culture protocols. The AI system comprises 3 key components: a protocol optimization system through our foundation model to deliver individualized cell culture protocols, kind of like a personal medicine, but personal medicine for personal cells or individual cells. And then we have a computer vision for real-time cell analysis and a robotic execution system for precise and consistent implementation. We generate revenue through hardware, software, and consumables. For hardware, we offer robotic scientists through a robotic as a service model, such a kind of like hiring a robotic scientist for a company. And then we can also perform or can have the outright sell option as well. For software, it is driven by AI system upgrades as the system continuously learns and evolves. Consumables such as pipettes and bottles made for the robotic system provide another recurring revenue stream. We target research labs in both industry and academia, addressing a market growing at a CAGR of over 26%, driven by the rapid advancement in regenerative medicine and innovative therapies. The total addressable market is over 96 billion, with over 450,000 of research labs as our potential customers. So some of the existing technologies fall short of addressing the core challenges in cell culture automation. Customers are looking for solutions that integrate intelligence for analysis and communication, scalability by working with the cell culture flasks, flexibility to culture multiple cell types without cross-contamination, and affordability to lower adoption barriers. By focusing on these critical capabilities, we have gained a significant traction and secured paying customers. We conducted interviews with over 30 key decision makers in companies and institutions, which led to letter of support from key industry leaders, including Director of Moderna, Regeneron, as well as the CTO of NVIDIA Biosciences, as well as partnerships invitation from Harvard startups. We secured a 200K investment with an additional milestone-based 800K follow-up from a high-profile VC. We have generated 50K in revenue recently by selling our first prototype and a subsequent upgraded model, along with a 250K letter of intent for future models. And additionally, we have been accepted into mass robotics, and we are very excited to accelerate our technology development, manufacturing, and the commercialization by working with industry experts from the program. So this is our team. The company is funded by me and Xinyu. My research focuses on cell therapy in collaboration with the Mayo Clinic. I culture cells every day to the point that I hate it so much and decided to just develop a robot to do this for me. In the fall of 2022, I reached out to the robotic expert Xinyu, and we have been working together ever since. Alan and Max have joined the team as robotic and mechanical engineers as well. We also are very fortunate to have two strong advisors guiding our development. Andrea, who built and sold an AI life science startup in just 3 years, and Rumi, who brings extensive experience in corporate strategy, lab automation, and entrepreneurship. So that's all for Mito Robotics. Thank you very much.
What a great job, Bing. Thank you so much for kicking us off with that incredible pitch. And you know, your personal experience saying, this was aggravating me, this was annoying me, I got tired of it, and so I decided to create a robot to do it. I think that kind of practical, experience-driven ingenuity is really the best way to build a business, because that problem is something that you're passionate about. It's something that your proximity to the problem really gives you a unique view on it. And it's also something that, because you know so much about it, you're going to be uniquely positioned to solve. So great job with your innovation and creation process. So let's go to our judges. Judges, if you want to, I see Iran has his hand raised. Let's go to you first with our questions, and then other judges raise your hand or chime in, and we can go from there. But Iran, kick us off.
Yeah. So first of all, hi, nice to meet you, and it was a very good presentation. Thank you. Two questions on my side. The first one will be, when we are talking about AI, eventually we are looking to see where the data is coming from. And this is the first question, how you are going to gain the data, because this is crucial in order to develop and train the models. The second one will be, we are talking about robotics, right? And I didn't fully understand what is the robot inside of this machine? Are you having any robotic arm or what is? Okay, thanks.
Yep, thank you, Aaron. Great question. So to your first question, the data for the AI training, so it's mainly collected in-house, and the data are mostly image data. For example, cell images, and we can get some images, every day, from my research, from we can culture cells in-house as well, and a lot of cells they have kind of a similar morphology, especially if we categorize to two different type of cells, adherent cells and suspension cells. And suspension cells, they are just small particles under the microscope that just suspending in the liquid. Adherent cells, they kind of spread out. So basically, we'll just collect all this data for training, for understanding the cell morphology, growth conditions. And another data we're collecting is all the glasswares or labwares in the lab. So for example, a flask. We'll take a picture of the flask, we'll label it, classify it, help AI to understand that, oh, this is a flask. Now what we do with it, we'll have it trained on that data. And for example, another, it's a tube, conical tubes. So basically we'll feed that data into the AI. And it doesn't have to be a large model. We are not focusing on a large model. We're just focusing on model that understands everything with the cell culture within the lab setting. So all it needs to understand is everything that's happening in the lab, which can be a lot, but it's also, it's available to collect, very easy to access. To a second question with the hardware, the robot, we have three main components. The liquid handling system is a gantry-based system, and that will be having a liquid handling system, a pipetting system, a flask holder that can tilt up and down, so a lot of flexibility, dexterity inside. And then we do have a scurrier arm that do the transportation. So basically, we transport the cells from an incubation system to the liquid handling system. And then the third is the automated incubation system. So that's the three key components. And then we have some smaller system like an automated imaging system for collecting image of the cells that's developed in-house as well. And then we have automated liquid dispensing and the storage system. So that all combines into one single unit that we made it relatively small. And that's kind of the core technologies within the robot.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Bing. Let's go to Midia next, and then we'll do Carlo after.
Thank you. Thanks so much for the presentation. Great solution. I have a question related to the go-to-market strategy. You have already some revenues. I'm just curious about how you go about it. How do you approach your clients? And what's the sales process?
Of course. So first way is industry conference, demoing in person. So I just came back from San Diego at the SLAS conference. Customers just love seeing the products in person and just play with it. So what we do is our system is relatively compact. So we'd love to just ship it to a conference. I'll be there and then just demo it in person to our customers. So that's one way to show us out there, expose us out there. The second way is partnerships. So it's huge, especially for academia customers that they would love to see use this robot along with their research. And then we would love to have that partnership because it can get us more exposure by publishing with them. So once they have some results or publication, and we will be in their method and the material section, we automated their cell culture, so that just increase our exposure. And the third is just remote demo. So our system, like I said, you can control it at home for users. So our system can be in my office, but we can give a temporary access to the customers at their office. So they can just remotely use our robot to do some cell culture and just to get some hands-on experience remotely, get the experience how to use the robot. So that's kind of the three main method that we can get to the customers.
Thank you.
All right, I'll right in. Thanks, Brandon. So, in terms of geographical rollout, what is your market rollout process? Which countries are you going for first? And you mentioned that you'll be working in partnership with like influencers, like publications, etc. Will you also be having transactional partners that will resell on your behalf?
Yeah, for sure. So For your question, first question, we are starting with the U.S. markets. We are based in the U.S. We're based in Pittsburgh. We'd love to, start with the U.S. customers, as it is. The U.S. itself is half of the total market around the world. So if we can satisfy the U.S. market, and we can go from there. Then we can talk about EU. We can talk about Japan, Korea, or China, and other developing countries as well. To the second question, we could potentially be looking at a distributor or resellers for our system, but we do have a business model that's a robotic as a service. So we do have robot that's being returned to us after the customers have done using it, and then we will maintain it, refurbish it, and we could potentially resell that or hire that out one more time for other users. So we could potentially looking at a reseller or distributor to help us satisfy that business model.
Thank you very much, Bing.
Thank you.
Great. Joyce?
Yeah, so thank you for the presentation. Every time I hear you pitch, I learn something new. What is your biggest challenge? So what keeps you up at night? What are your worries about the company? Is it, selling? Is it raising money? Is it finding employees? What keeps you up at night?
What keeps me up at night? I think it's a lot of it's about selling, to be honest. Because it's like we have a revenue. Once the customers get to know us, get to know our technology, they will fall in love with it. They will immediately pay money for our prototype. To be honest, our prototype is not pretty. I had a much bigger vision for the prototype, but it was not pretty. But I'm glad that there are still customers paying for that. The thing is, selling to pharma and the big, especially pharma, big biotech companies, they are very big. And there's a lot of political within the department, within the company, and the buying decision is just taking a long time. And for a startup at our very early stage, waiting for that long time to make a decision can be detrimental. So for us, my solution is how can we make things fast, especially our lead time. A lot of the technology have 6 months, 8 months, even 12-month lead time. And the customers is, very hesitant to make a purchase decision because they have to think, oh, I have to wait 6 months, 8 months to get this thing in our robot, in our lab. But now I have some scientists that can just do that because my experiment cannot wait. My project cannot wait. So how can we improve ourselves to help the customers make a decision fast is what I'm keep me up at night. So yeah, and that's something that we'd love to learn more about at Mass Robotics as well.
All right, thanks, Bing. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for questions, judges, but thank you so much for those great questions and for your input. We'll give you guys a second to make any notes or tabulate any scores. The next business will be Glidance. So just take a second.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you so much, Bing. Okay, Glidance team, we see the presentation. Couple more seconds here to make sure you're ready. Okay, Glidance team, are you ready to pitch?
Ready to go.
Great. So give us your name, the name of the business, and then we'll start the clock and you can go right into the pitch.
I am Amos Miller, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Glidance. All right, we go straight in. Amos Miller, the CEO and co-founder of Glidance, and I'm blind. When I lost my sight in my early 20s, I started to look into independent mobility for blind people, personally while walking my daughter to kindergarten, but also professionally, during my time at Microsoft when I led a strategic investment by Satya Nadella into new navigation technologies for the blind. And then I realized that we have a real problem on our hands, and I want to frame it for you. So imagine for a moment that you lost your sight. You had sight for most of your life. You saw the smile of a loved one. You saw the colors of spring. And now you feel that chill of uncertainty. Will you ever feel independent again? This is the harsh reality for 43 million blind people today. The majority lose their sight later in life, macular degeneration, glaucoma, diabetes. And here's the issue. No matter what technology we develop, a blind person still has to use their cane or their guide dog to get around. And the reality, only 2% actually do. Why? Time, money, and resources. It can take 5 years and $100,000 to get one blind person trained and out and about. The support system simply can't cope, resulting in staggering levels of unemployment in the blindness community. Social isolation, depression. That's not to mention the enormous toll on the family. My wife has not been able to hold a full-time job because of my blindness. But what if we harnessed the power of robotics and AI and the promise that they bring, and imagine a new kind of mobility aid that was quick to learn, easy to use, and affordable? An intelligent guide of sort that will be with you, keep you safe, help you get around. You'll regain your independence in no time and continue to be a fully contributing member of society. Glidance is pioneering the era of intelligent guides with Glide. 2 wheels on the ground, a long handle. You nudge the device forward, and as you walk, Glide autonomously guides you, steering you on a safe path, around obstacles, and navigating you to your destination. This is an experience that is as familiar as holding onto someone's arm. Quick to learn, easy to use, affordable. Most blind people can afford a cell phone. So Glide should cost like a cell phone, $14.99 and a $30 subscription, making independent mobility accessible to millions of people rather than thousands. Under the hood, Glide is powered by our proprietary sensible wayfinding system. This is a most advanced foundational model for effective navigation in unstructured pedestrian environments. In other words, we are not only tapping into the multi-billion-dollar market for blind navigation, our platform will power the future in which intelligent guides and personal robots share the spaces in which we live in, work, and travel, and help us out. We will empower airports, hotels, hospitals to improve the experience and make the spaces more accessible. So we tested our prototypes with over 1,200 people by now who tell us this is the most important innovation since the iPhone. We already collected almost $1 million in pre-orders and are working hard with the leading blindness organizations in Europe and North America. Glide was even selected as one of the Today Show's top 5 favorite products from the Consumer Electronics Show 2025. Hooray, hooray, that was a lot of fun. We have a world-class team. I'm joined by folks from Amazon, from iRobot and Symbotic to build the best product that will change the lives of millions of people around the world and bring the power of AI and robotics to the blind community and beyond, to the 1.2 billion people who live with a disability today. So please join us. We're raising funds. We're launching the product later this year. We have commitments from the earliest investors in Tesla, SpaceX, Zipline. And I promise you that there will come a day when you'll delight in seeing someone gliding past you on a sunny day, walking their daughter to kindergarten. Thank you for your time.
Well, thank you so much, Amos, for that very inspirational pitch, and congrats on the traction that you and your team have built so far. Thank you again. Okay, judges, any questions for Amos and team? Okay, I see Joyce first.
Joyce.
How are you doing, Amos? Nice to see you. I'm going to ask the same question that I asked the last one. Is what is your biggest challenge at this point? Now you have some great traction. Your pitch is amazing. It's very heartwarming and touching. It's really, I don't know how anyone wouldn't want to buy the product. But what is your next what is your next big milestone or biggest challenge?
I want to talk to 2 points. The first is the one that's at the heart of our business, which is that we're bringing out a new technology, a new kind of mobility aid to an assistive product to a disability community. That road has wrecks all along it. And I think what we are doing to mitigate the challenges of acceptance of new technologies in this space is working out in the open with the blind low vision community. We are deeply engaged. We have regular Zoom calls. We hold in-person demo days showing our prototypes, getting all the feedback to make sure that by the time we launch, the community had their say, and we're kind of creating that future together. The second point is really helping the investment community appreciate the opportunity that exists in addressing real human needs in markets that most people are not really familiar with. That's been an amazing journey. We've really brought on some amazing investors along the way and look forward to bring others with us on the journey.
Thank you.
And Mass Robotics have been a critical friend along that journey, Joyce, and we greatly appreciate that.
Okay, let's go with Carlo next and then Ron after.
Thank you very much. What a great presentation.
Thank you.
So yeah, I wanted to ask you a couple of things. First of all, how do you go about securing the device so that it cannot be tampered with or hijacked by malicious cyber actors? That's my first question. And the second question is, what's your geographical rollout? I'm half Ethiopian, for example, and I can tell you in Ethiopia, there's about 2 million blind people out of a population of maybe 130 million. So it's quite a high percentage, and difficult circumstances there. I'm sure that many less developed economies are in a similar situation. Do you have a vision on bringing this phenomenal tool to the wider world?
Yeah, so first of all, security. We are, first of all, very committed to that the device is self-standing. It does rely on connectivity, but it does most of its work on device. Only for some more advanced features, AI features, and also for model training, do we go to the cloud. And so the device we're using basically a standard AWS IoT security systems to make sure that the device itself is secure. And we're also looking at how to implement privacy preserving AI, do some of the model training on device, and upload the models for the general model distribution to the rest of the fleet. In terms of international, it is absolutely right. One of the unique things about an assistive technology in the disability space is that once you have something good, the whole world wants it. And that's a real tension that we have to manage, because we also want to be super controlled rollout to make sure that we get things right before we go wide. We have pre-orders from across Europe and North America. We'll start in North America in the first 6 months and expand from there to Europe, the rest of the world, and really look forward as we get to future versions and we can really start driving the costs of the device down to get to other countries as well.
Thank you, Amos. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Ron, go ahead.
Yeah. So, Amos, thank you for the presentation. It was inspiring presentation. You talked about foundation models, and when we are talking about foundation models, we are talking about millions of videos in order to train multimodality. And so, first of all, how you are going to collect it, and if you can share a bit about the experience while using this robot, right? What is the experience that the blind will have? Is it the device will communicate with the voice, with it stopped it. Can you share a little bit about the experience? Thank you.
Of course, yeah. So in terms of data collection, we are starting with data that we collect, our team and our community, basically mainly focusing on sidewalks, road crossings, doors, escalators, elevators, basically taking a lot of pictures and videos of those situations. And we're starting our beta program now and starting to get devices out there that actually collect the full data set with our devices. And we definitely see as the devices go out, we see the devices themselves as data collectors. And one of the benefits that we have is that we're not entirely reliant on AI on the model for the entire function. At the base level, it's a robot, classical robotics, avoiding obstacles. Middle level is computer vision that we do on device, and at the top level, that's when we get to the really fascinating multimodal LLMs and physical AI. So we're training the levels at different rates, and as we get the fleet out there, we can accelerate that significantly. In terms of the usage, it's first of all, it's amazing to use. The wheels are not motorized, which is really interesting. You actually hold the device and you push the device forward. And as you start to walk, there's cameras on the device and sensors, and the wheels actually physically steer left and right. So you just follow where the device is going. You don't have to listen to information or get signals in audio or haptics. You just follow the device. It's going to guide you. We do have audio for voice interaction, for scene exploration with the device. Hey, Glide, you walk into a hotel. Hey, Glide, what's going on here? There's a reception desk, a lobby. Okay, I'd like to go to the reception desk. Glide charts the path to the reception desk and guides you there. Yeah. And so that's broadly the experience, but we're building from the ground up a really viable mobility aid that people who are blind can rely on a device like this to get around independently.
Okay, thank you.
Mehdi, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Amos. Incredible product. Let us know when you do the next fundraise. We invest a little bit later in the process. Anyway, one question on competition. Do you have anything out there that is similar, and in that case, any comparison? Can you just share your unique value prop?
Yeah, I would say that the uniqueness here is that most of the other technologies that are being developed are in augmentation of the cane or a guide dog. So you'll have a wearable, whether it's glasses or body haptic unit or an app on the phone that adds more information, but ultimately you have to be a confident cane user or guide dog user to use that technology. I spent quite a lot of time in that space, and I call that fishing in a small corner of a small pond. I want to fish in the ocean. The ocean are all the people who are not confident cane users, not confident guide dog users. So I bring a new primary mobility aid. And the only real, if you think about it, the only something that's on the horizon somewhere could be humanoids or robot dogs in the future. For the foreseeable future, they're absolutely not viable, and that's something that we're keeping an eye on, and we will have the platform to absorb that and take advantage of that when that technology becomes viable.
Thank you.
Okay, judges, thank you so much for those questions. And Amos, thank you again for that incredible presentation. Congrats to you and your team on what you've been able to build so far. And I love what you said, fishing in the ocean. It's very aptly put as, to be able to support a VC and equity investment. All of these businesses have to have big total addressable markets. So great job, Amos and team. Our next business will be Nexterity. If you want to start getting ready for your pitch, we are halfway through the AI for Good, Robotics for Good, Innovation Factory pitch today. We've gone from the science lab with Mito Robotics to the entire world with Glidance. Let's see where Nexterity will take us next. Nexterity team, are you ready? Okay, see your presentation coming up.
All right, thank you guys so much for having me. This has been such an inspiring event. My name is Lindsay Elliott, and my company is Nexterity, Next Generation Industrial Dexterity. So before I jump in, I'll give you a little bit of background on my experience and why I'm so passionate about solving this problem. And that all starts right out of engineering school. I studied mechanical engineering and then jumped right into an oil and gas refinery for my first job. And while I was there, I was assigned to go find efficiencies in a lot of the planned maintenance outages that the refinery would take. Essentially, they would shut down a portion of the refinery every year, and they would spend 100 to 200 millions of dollars in making improvements, taking inspection data, opening and closing pipes, replacing certain pieces of equipment, et cetera. And while I was watching this activity, I noticed that we were working on tens of thousands of what you see here on the screen, which is called a flange. And essentially, this is a piping joint. And whenever two pipes come together, they're tightened to make sure there are no leaks. And that process involves a lot of nuts and bolts. And I started to look at the industry a little bit broader. And I found that it's not just oil and gas and refining and petrochemical manufacturing that is reliant on these pipes. It's water, wastewater, water sewage, green and sustainable manufacturing facilities that are taking carbon out of the processes of manufacturing the materials we use for everyday life, are all using the same kind of piping. Even mining and nuclear facilities, any kind of fabric facility, or food and beverage, everybody is using the same kind of core infrastructure. And in order to keep that core infrastructure working and up and running, you have people like the gentleman you see on the screen here called pipe fitters. And they are making sure that the pipes are sealed in a very tight way so that they won't leak over their lifespan. So I found out that over $26 billion is actually spent in pipe fitter labor around the world every year, but it's still being done by hand. This is super dangerous, as you can see in the picture on the left. People are using hand wrenches to tighten and loosen the bolts that keep our pipes together and help in the support of new construction of new plants. This process is also very slow. People can only work on one bolt at a time. They want to make sure that they're staying as safe as possible, so you only have one or two people working on a pipe at a time. And a lot of times the quality of these wrenches in this process is not sufficient for the next run of piping in its lifespan. So there's a lot of opportunity I found after talking to 75 plus customers in the space around the safety, speed, and quality of this pipe fitting process. And so I'm introducing a hands-free autonomous smart system dependent on AI that is able to do this without the humans being up close on the pipe, which prevents them from being exposed to any kind of leaks or residual liquid coming out of the pipe in this process. It also allows them to take a couple steps back and be away from these piping joints while the hundreds of foot-pounds of torque are being applied to tighten and loosen these nuts and bolts. And once we take humans out of the process, we're able to work on multiple bolts at a time. So that increases our speed and the quality of the distribution of the force around the circular flange face. This is our prototype. As you can see, we're still in our very early stages, but we clamp around a pipe. We have 4 motors that are 90 degrees apart from each other that interface with the nuts and bolts on the piping joint. On the top right of the screen, you'll see the standard pattern that people use to tighten the nuts and the bolts. The numbers correspond to the order of which the bolts get tightened or loosened in the process. We're using computer vision to recognize the hexagonal shape of those bolts and then recognize the order that those bolts need to be installed or removed from. And this allows for reduction of human error in the process as well. And again, the redundancy of having multiple motors working on the bolts at a time allows for better quality and delivery, and you have a tighter flange joint at the end of your process. We've had a lot of traction, a lot of great feedback from across the industry. A lot of it comes from my background in the refining and petrochemical spaces. We've also participated in accelerator programs as well as Mass Robotics. We're very excited to participate with them. We're funded by Roadrunner Venture Studios. They've invested about $500,000, and we're passionate about delivering dual-use applications as well to the U.S. Army and Air Force. We're also working with American Society of Mechanical Engineers, Pressure Vessels, and Piping to promote AI literature in this space. This is our team. We have a lot of variety of experience across development, construction, and software, as well as computer vision, and we're excited to bring this robot to pipes around the world. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Lindsay. And this is one of those things that you didn't know you needed it until you see it. It's a very specific industry need, but what an innovative solution for that problem. So congrats to you and the team. Okay, judges, we'll start with questions. It looks like Carlo is ready. Go ahead and take it away, Carlo.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, I love people that talk about the nuts and bolts of things. So we're on a good start here. My question is, what sustainable development goals do you feel that this aligns the most with?
Yeah, absolutely. I can answer that with a bit of a personal anecdote, actually. A really good friend of mine, when we both left our jobs at ExxonMobil, went to go work for a sustainable development plant that is taking the carbon out of the plastic making process for bottle caps that go on the top of water bottles. And the kind of piping that she was using was the exact same of piping that we use together at ExxonMobil. Her company actually went out and bought an old refining facility and then was able to retrofit a lot of the existing pipes and then pump their new chemicals through them. And obviously, they added a couple other features to those pipelines and to their process system. But essentially, they were able to reuse the infrastructure in kind of this retro market, which is growing globally as we go through the energy transition. And so not only do you have the retrofit market, but you also have any kind of greenfield construction where people are building new and sustainable plants to produce any kind of material in a carbon neutral or negative or carbon negative way. Or even develop new technology that's come out of a lab and been proven on a lab or pilot plant scale, but now is making its first debut in a full-scale production facility. Those greenfield construction applications are using the same kinds of pipes.
You have a feel as to what impact that would actually generate in the world if it was broadly used?
Yeah, absolutely. So looking at the trade markets, the pipe fitter trade is what is essentially the first level that people come out of trade school and essentially take on. So we could promote those people into the boilermaker level of trades in the staffing hierarchy, which requires a little bit more critical thinking and human capability in the decisions that are very safety critical and in hazardous environments, while taking some of this more low-hanging fruit labor into the hands of robotics that can ensure some of the quality, speed, and safety that we don't always get in the current process.
And the last, very, very quick question. If I was a bad guy and I wanted to hack into your robots, how would you prevent me from doing so?
Sure, absolutely. Right now, we offer robotics as a service, and so we bring a trained Nexterity technician to use our tools. We keep them very closely protected, but if one did get stolen, it is a little bit difficult to understand how to navigate. So there's a little bit of a learning curve that we incorporate into our safety factor and our competitive edge. But beyond that, if somebody did want to get their hands on it, there's only so much we can do.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Great, Iran, and then Joyce.
Yeah, so usually pipes are long, right? And there are, I don't know, several, maybe hundreds of plunges along the pipes. So how this robot will navigate from one to another, right? Because eventually, like it's supposed to go over. What will happen in the, like when it needs to turn left, right? How you will manage it? Will it be fully autonomously done, or this is going to be on the first phase teleoperated?
Yes, so the first phase is actually teleoperated, like you mentioned, by design. And one of the things I learned rolling out new technologies with this workforce at ExxonMobil was the workforce really likes to be involved in the process. So we've strategically designed a human-in-the-loop operation for our first MVP. So we actually will have the human in conjunction with the team at the refinery or sustainable plant or water servicing plant go and put the robot in front of the piping joint that it wants to service, and then they'll take a few steps back, grab a remote controller, and then drive it, which is aided by computer vision again for alignment, to recognize its position that it needs to be in. And then once they're done with that part, they'll power it down, and then they'll remove it from the pipe so that nobody has their hands anywhere near it when it's powered on for safety. Beyond that, we do have visions for a fully autonomous version once we've kind of coached and handheld the workforce through this transition of showing them this is your current process of how you're tightening and loosening bolts. This is how we're doing the same thing, but keeping you safer and sending you home to your family at the end of the day without hand injuries. We do have a vision for more full autonomy where this tool will be able to open and close to be able to go around certain obstructions or around corners, or even go from pipe to pipe. So we can have the human go and move it, or we can enable it to crawl. And that actually will allow us to work in even more hazardous conditions and keep people out of those even up to 100 feet away from where we wouldn't want them positioned.
So the current one, how long it will take to install and to remove it from the pipes?
Oh yeah, a couple seconds. It's essentially a clamp. A couple seconds. It's essentially a clamp that can be installed. It looks like kind of two semicircles, and then it gets locked in place, and then the person takes a few steps back. And because they don't have to worry about the alignment, they're able to really just get it on the pipe and then get back to safety.
And this is equipped with a battery for...
Yes, we're following suit based on some of the other technologies in the market that have gained popularity in the last 5 to 6 years. What they call pistol grip wrenches. Essentially, it looks like a power drill that you would use around the house, but it can provide thousands of foot-pounds of torque. Those run off of lithium-ion batteries. And so we're using the same thing, those rechargeable battery packs that you would put in the bottom of your drill.
And this will, sorry for the last question, this is hot swappable, so and how long it will work? Because it needs to put a lot of force in order to close it really good, and the batteries, like it will remain for what, 1 hour, 2 hours, 2 plunges, 5 plunges?
Yeah, we get a couple hours of battery life out of it. Really, the batteries, again, they don't really need to be turned on until the tool is ready to actually interface with the bolts. So you can put it on the pipe and take a few steps back, wait to get your permit signed, or wait for someone else to come over and watch the process. And then you can actually turn it on and start using battery powder only when you want to apply those high torque values. And our range that we're targeting is 50 to 550 torque pounds to start, which is the range where people use their hands the most. And so for that, we're anticipating about 6 or so hours of battery life throughout the day, or 6 or so hours of tool life, recognizing the battery life will only be incremental in that section of time throughout the day, but that'll allow us to go and service 5 or 6 different pipe applications.
Okay, so we have a limited amount of time left for questions. If I could get Joyce and Mitia to just ask your questions very quickly, and then Lindsay, maybe you can respond to both to save a little time. Go ahead.
Okay, my question is, what is your exit strategy? So your robots as a service, so you're not selling the robot to a user, you're actually going out to the site and using it on site with an employee. So how do you envision the company growing? And then what are you looking at for an exit? Would you like to sell the product to somebody who's working on these types of, in this technology area, or what do you envision as an exit?
I follow suit. So, and it might require a lot of time to respond, so feel free to skip it. I was just wondering, have you thought of integration with orchestration platforms? I've seen a few of those in so many sites. And, where does it fit with other robots, if any?
Yeah, these are great questions. To answer the question about exit strategy, essentially we want to unleash this robot first and then grow its autonomy and then enter other products into our product line as well. So eventually we see ourselves becoming the new contractor that is at play in a lot of the industry. So we will be working alongside the Turners, the Bechtels, the Skanskas, in some of the industrial construction areas, and then hopefully IPO or exit in some kind of form like that as more of a contractor service, but with specialty tooling. And then again, allowing those other folks to move up in the ranks at the other facilities or at the other contractor companies. And then we'll also have some of our own technicians on our play as well. So we're not really looking to take other people's jobs. There's so much demand. There's more demand than there is supply actually for these jobs over the next 10 years. And we need to find ways to meet the market and fill in the gaps. So that's part of our strategy as well. So we do intend to IPO in kind of a contractor space. And then, I'm sorry.
Lindsay, if you could just give a 15-second response to Midia's question, and then if you need more time, maybe you can connect offline on it. But if you could do it just quick 15 seconds for us.
Yes, absolutely. And I apologize, I didn't hear all the question. I think it broke up, but how do we interface with other robots? We've actually been talking with other companies that are logging some of the data from their smart tools. And we want to integrate with that as well as integrate with other apps like Procore to get a more comprehensive view of these large maintenance events data.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Lindsay. You have really, and the team, it looks like you dove into this problem significantly. Obviously, you have experience in the industry, and it looks like all of that practical experience is paying off. Congrats to you and the team on what you've been able to build. Now, we are getting ready for our last pitch here for the Robotics for Good Innovation Factory pitch competition. Robotics 88 is our last business. We'll give them a minute to get set, and then we'll go into our final pitch. These pitches have been great so far. Thanks again to Guillaume and the team at AI for Good for building this innovation factory platform to showcase entrepreneurs that are building innovative solutions and supporting the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals around the world using artificial intelligence and machine learning technology. Really excited to hear this last pitch, and of course, to hear who our winner will be. And again, our winner will go to the big global competition in Geneva, Switzerland, along with a few other goodies that will hopefully help them in their business along their journey. So, Robotics 88, are you ready to pitch?
Yep. Are you seeing my slides?
Yes, we see your slides. Give us your name, the name of the business, and we'll start the clock and you can go right into the pitch.
Sounds great. It's great to be here and great to hear all these inspiring pitches. I'm Erin Linebarger, CEO and co-founder of Robotics 88. At Robotics 88, we are building an AI hybrid drone intelligence platform. It's easy to feel scared for the planet right now. Our ecosystems are facing threats ranging from biodiversity loss, devastation from wildfires, unhealthy watersheds and soil, and increased carbon emissions. There isn't going to be a quick solution, but our greatest chance of combating climate change is in restoring keystone ecological processes. Fire is a critical keystone process for life on land. It may surprise you to know that not all fire is the same. Much of our planet is fire dependent, meaning that not only is fire inevitable, it's also good under the right conditions. Good fires treat all of the ecosystem threats I just presented. Indigenous peoples practice cultural burning for thousands of years in North America, and more recently, land managers have been implementing the practice of prescribed fire. Prescribed fires are very safe, but the way we've made them safe is extremely high touch, with a high cost per acre largely due to a high head count per acre. We reduce the cost per acre and total time of a burn with autonomous drones for start to finish prescribed fire support. Our drones use an AI hybrid decision-making algorithm that enables them to navigate the forest and optimally track dynamic fire conditions. To contrast, traditional autonomous drones do waypoint following, where the drone goes in order to a series of GPS points, like the lawnmower pattern shown here. Lawnmower patterns only work well in the simplest of settings. Add in even a little complexity, like a forest, and they fail. Obstacles along the path slow the drone, but obstacles at the waypoints are even worse because the drone has no built-in way to skip to the next waypoint. But even with no obstacles, traditional drones are suboptimal. Consider this wildfire risk survey of a neighborhood and contrast with how you yourself might do it. You probably wouldn't walk in lines at a uniform pace, staring only forwards. You'd spend more time at areas of interest and ensure there were no obstructed viewpoints, none of which is baked into a traditional drone survey. We've solved both of these problems with our adaptive navigation, which is the enabling technology to our drone's unique ability to fly through the trees and provide critical, large-scale, on-the-ground data for prescribed burners. Everyone on our team brings a wide range of skill sets to the table, with expertise in flight controls, UX, and DevOps. We have received $1.5 million in non-dilutive funding from our partner agencies. I am a current Activate Boston Fellow. We've had SBIRs with NOAA and NSF, and we were in the inaugural Mass Robotics Accelerator cohort last spring. Our advisors include CEOs and CTOs of robotics and drone companies, and our industry advisor is a COO of Great Basin Institute and a former burn boss, hotshot, and incident commander. Our adaptive navigation algorithm is built on the work I did during my PhD, building a general framework for robot decision-making, and has many future applications beyond fire. Because our vision at Robotics 88 is to solve climate tech's biggest barrier to scale, not enough data. There is a critical need for high-resolution, high-frequency geospatial data to address geospatial climate challenges. Our adaptive navigation algorithm can be easily optimized for new applications, maximizing our ability to provide a force multiplier to climate tech. We sell application-optimized drones with recurring revenue from our data post-processing subscription. After prescribed fire, we will create solutions for wildfire response and then timber management, resulting in a cumulative SAM of $22 billion. We also have a potential future as a platform technology, leveraging our AI reasoning framework to reduce the barrier to entry for developing drone solutions for climate. AI agents have been a game changer for SaaS companies, but they follow the same architecture robots have been using for years. AI agents made LLMs exponentially more useful by adding actions, but the future for both AI agents and robotics is in reasoning. Our framework provides explainable robotics reasoning at every level. You can think of our decision-making algorithm like a fancy weighted average, combining outputs of criteria functions. It is AI hybrid in the sense that the criteria function can be either explicit or AI trained, and it can combine both. Our framework has 3 levels. The root level is the application, for example, monitoring a fire perimeter. Within an application, the context is used to tune metaparameters. For example, the real-time fire behavior impacts whether the drone seeks out spot fires or stays on the fire line. Within the context, the criteria measure real-world states.
Aaron, that's all the time that we have for the pitch. Thank you so much for what you've created and also for this great presentation. You'll have some time to dive into anything you didn't get into with our judge questions. So now, judges, please raise your hand. Let me know who has a question and we'll get started. Looks like Carlo is up first. Go ahead, Carlo, and then we'll go to Joyce.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, so phenomenal presentation. What a great product, really. So tell me, how are you going to reach as many customers as possible to provide them with this solution as quickly as possible? And I'm a 2-question guy. The second question is going to be, how do you prevent somebody that becomes dependent on your robots? If I was like a saboteur and I wanted to create a new California wildfire, and California fire departments were dependent on your drones, what are you doing to prevent them from being like blocked? So tell me a little bit about your cybersecurity considerations and also your market outreach. How are you going to do it fast enough to, make a difference quickly?
Sure. So as for our market relationships, we've been building our customer connections in prescribed fire for 2 years now, going to burns and going to conferences and trade shows and building those relationships because this is a really tightly knit community and they buy from people they know. As for the cybersecurity, we will use state-of-the-art practices for cybersecurity, and additionally, a lot of our customers are government, and there are standard approvals processes before you can sell a drone to government, so it will have undergone rigorous testing on the cybersecurity front before anyone's using it.
Excellent, thank you.
I also want to add too, we are big believers in collaboration, and there are other technology companies that we want to work with that when combined, for example, with wildfire early detections, we should be able to prevent the saboteurs, as you mentioned.
Joyce, go ahead.
Yeah. Aaron, thank you for the presentation. Can you talk a little bit about your traction and your customers? So you said you have a few SBIRs, and what are your, like, any commercial customers, or what's your pipeline look like?
Yeah, we're in early conversations for the first purchases of our Echo drone, which is our aerial ignition drone. And we did MVP trials last spring where we operated before, during, and after prescribed burns.
Yep, go ahead.
I'm not fully understand if you are a software company or a hardware company. You are selling the reasoning as a software package for other manufacturers?
And no, we sell a complete package with our own autonomous reasoning on board. Our core IP is the autonomous reasoning, but we see a future patent portfolio in software-enabled hardware. We are open to putting our reasoning capabilities on other companies' drones, but we have found there's not a lot of market pull there. If we find there is market pull where another drone company wants to put our intelligence on, we are happy to discuss licensing.
So you are providing reasoning in a box, and you can put this on any drone?
It is hardware agnostic, yes. But we sell our own drone, just to be clear.
Okay, Midya, go ahead.
Now I know it's early times, and great job so far. Did you think of any other application other than this specific one already? If not, it's absolutely fine.
Absolutely, yeah. We see a long roadmap in expanding, as I mentioned in here, first to wildfire response and then timber management, but additionally carbon credit mapping. And since we are vehicle agnostic, and this is way down the road, but we do want to expand to underwater vehicles as well and do tracking monitoring of coral farms and offshore wind farms.
Thank you.
And so why did you pick the wildfires as your first beachhead?
So beyond the market itself, I have a personal connection to fire. My aunt and uncle lost their home in the Marshall Fire in Colorado 3 years ago, which was Colorado's most damaging fire in history. And my background in robotics, I started looking into what can we do to mitigate the wildfire crisis? And so that leads us back to the market. The wildfire crisis is growing more urgent all the time, and we need to stop putting so much money into fighting fires and start working on preventing them. And prescribed fire is the most scalable wildfire mitigation tool, and it requires my specialty, the ability to allow robots to navigate a cluttered, complex environment, making reasoning decisions.
All right, any other questions from our judges? I have time for one more. If not, Aaron, thank you again for sharing that personal anecdote. Again, I think it's so important when founders have some kind of tangible connection to the solution that they're building. Terrible situation for your family members, but you've obviously been able to build something that can help out other people, help to prevent some of those situations in the future. So thank you for the work that you're doing. And everyone, thanks again for joining us for this AI for Good, Robotics for Good Innovation Factory pitch. That concludes the pitches. Now it's time for our judges to deliberate and decide who the winner will be. So who will join Guillaume and the team at AI for Good at the Global Summit in Geneva, Switzerland this summer. Our judges are going to take a couple of minutes now to go and deliberate, and I know they have a tough job to do. They'll be back in a couple of minutes. While our judges are deliberating, I'm going to engage the entrepreneurs in conversation, answer a few additional questions that have come up for myself and even potentially from the audience. So judges, go ahead and take your time away to deliberate. And if I can have all of our entrepreneurs come on camera, I would love to continue the conversation. Okay, Lindsay, I'll start with you. We've seen this theme with entrepreneurs experiencing something, having this domain experience, and then creating a solution. We may have some current entrepreneurs, some aspiring entrepreneurs out there in the audience. What was the key for you to take your idea, again, given that practical experience that you had in the industry, and actually turn it into a business that is having an impact?
Sure, absolutely. I think this was twofold. One was just to not doubt myself and to believe in the experiences that I had and had shared with so many close colleagues and friends. And the other was just keeping me up at night, the fact that people were going to work every day and having to put themselves at risk in front of a lot of hazardous equipment that is so critical to what our society is based on. And just working in facilities where there were literally posters on the wall that said, if you ever want to see your family again, work safely today. And it just has really inspired me to put those people first and continue to make sure that we're improving quality of life around the world. And to do that, we're so dependent on the pipe fitters that are doing so much for us, even though a lot of their work is probably not seen.
Yeah. And Lindsay, on the jobs of the pipe fitters, I thought it was very interesting when you said that this technology wouldn't be stealing jobs, which is something that we hear with artificial intelligence and machine learning technology so often. We know that these products, that these innovations can make processes more efficient. But in this case, it sounds like it's a perfect match or perfect partnership between the pipe fitters, the humans, the experts that are doing the work, and this new technology. Can you dive in a little bit more there and tell us a little bit about how you see the labor market evolving as new technology comes in?
Sure, absolutely. So I started to mention this, but the supply for industrial construction over the next 10 years is going to outpace the demand of people in trade-like roles, which include pipe fitters. And in order to meet the industrial construction demands of our society, we need to find a way to bridge those gaps. And so considering we won't be able to bring in more people to the workforce, we need to be able to leverage the same workforce, put them in positions where they can do a lot of the strategic thinking and a lot of the more creative type work, which are some of the boilermaker, welder type roles that require a little bit more training, a little bit more specialty, and take some of the more low-hanging fruit, fairly standardized labor and give that to machines that can eliminate human error, increase speed, improve quality. So really, we're looking to augment the workforce and allow them to complete more work over the certain working hours that they perform every day, and then deliver more work to their supervisor at the end of the day. And who doesn't want to work in that kind of environment?
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Amos, I want to go to you next. One, I have a question about your photo with Stevie Wonder. We got to get that story in at some point during the conversation. But before we get there, I'm curious to know, you were very specific when you described your new product, that it's not haptic feedback, it's not some of the ways that these kinds of solutions, these kinds of technologies have been implemented in the past. Curious to know, why did you decide to create a solution that's not using haptic and some of those other things that people might associate with this industry, and instead go in a different direction with your product?
Thank you, Brandon. First of all, I spent 10 years trying to do this with audio and haptics. I mentioned that I worked at Microsoft Research for many years, and I developed one of the leading navigation products for the blind today called Soundscape, which uses audio augmented reality to help a person build a richer awareness of their surroundings so that they can hear sound in 3D. For example, if Starbucks in front of you is in front of you and to the right, you will hear the word Starbucks in front of you and on your right. So it gives you that awareness of your surrounding, and we use other audio cues to guide the individual. And I learned from that experience that it's incredibly empowering, but the time that it takes the brain to process that kind of information and convert it to motor movement is not precise enough to actually provide what I call micro navigation, or the micro changes that you need to make in the body. And I explored a whole bunch of ideas. I looked at products that tried different things. And when you actually get to it and you think about a woman who's 55, lost her sight, she's just trying to get her life back together again, sometimes getting her to train with all of these, train to use a cane and start to listen to different audio cues, and it just doesn't. It's too much. It's too much, and people can't handle it. So the conclusion that the hypothesis was, what we need is something that is physically connected to the ground and physically guides the person, just as simple as possible. I took an RC car, stuck a broomstick on it, got a few blind people to hold the end of the stick and drive the car around, and I saw that that can work. And so that was really the genesis of what Glide has become.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You said physically connected to the person and physically guiding them.
And physically connected to the ground as well. Like
to the ground, right?
It's a separate frame of reference. It's something that you can push against. You can feel the ground through. You can, if the device turns to the right and you go to the left, there's no way you can confuse that. Like it's all a very physical, very tangible. Our brain and our body, it doesn't only work through one sense. We combine all our senses together, our feelings, our proprioception, what we hear, everything works together, and that's what Glide tries to build on.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense. And so looking forward, do you see the evolution of this industry being this, physical connection and physical guidance, or is it a combination of some of those old technologies with this approach that you've decided to take?
I wouldn't call them the old technologies. I think there's absolutely space for technologies that enhance your awareness, that help you, like, there's smart glasses that you can look around and say, hey, is there what color is this shop? Like all of these technologies are absolutely part of the overall experience. We are focusing on providing a really strong, viable mobility aid that fits into that experience and that ecosystem. But what we are really looking at, a lot of the users that we talk to have other needs as well. Like we talk to a lot of people in the older population who are looking for some support. People with dementia, or often dementia, the first things that people struggle with is orientation. And Again, you think about the difference between having some clever app on your phone and a pair of headset, but if you have dementia, that could just contribute to your confusion. If you have a physical entity, an embodied agent alongside you that you can trust in, it's just a much more human experience in my experience.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, Amos. Thank you again for answering those questions, and thanks for the work that you're doing. We're going to come back to you on that Stevie Wonder photo before we leave, though. Aaron, let's go back to you. I saw in the presentation that you became a drone pilot yourself, which makes a lot of sense given the kind of business that you're in. How did you get into the drone sector? Was it a personal interest? Was it during your course of study in robotics? How did that happen? And then how has that helped you with building this business?
So my background is actually in math. I got my PhD in math from University of Utah, specializing in robotic perception decision-making algorithms. But I began in robotics. I began my PhD focusing on these statistical algorithms that have applications in a wide range of areas. And so I was just lucky that my advisor and I, our first contract to work on together was doing drone localization algorithms for the Air Force. And once coming from a math background where you mostly live at a desk and a computer, to see my work actually impacting how a drone moved through space, I was hooked.
Getting some fresh air.
Yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, I got my drone license shortly thereafter so that I could be the FAA approved remote pilot, testing my algorithms on real drones. And yeah, watching algorithms on physical systems is it's the most fun.
Yeah, it always looks fun when I see it. Now, the drone, I guess, license that you have now, is there anything else that you would need to get to do anything more when it comes to drone piloting? I know there's some limitations maybe to the size of drones depending on the license and maybe the height that the drones can operate at. Is there anything else that you might get to continue to help and build the business?
Yeah, absolutely. So the big thing is the FAA waivers. And of course, so we've been operating in the US. We do plan to expand internationally, but so all of that I'm talking about is restricted to the US regulations.
Mm-hmm.
The FAA has two waivers we want to get to have our operations be at scale. There's the beyond visual line of sight, BVLOS waiver it's called, which is a restriction that without this waiver, the pilot has to always be able to see the drone with unaided vision. So we've got our first BVLOS waiver. So we can test BVLOS flights in Rhode Island, and the FAA has a process they like you to follow. So we'll expand that to eventually get to nationwide over the next year or two. The other waiver is the one-to-many waiver. So without this waiver, you have to be one pilot to one drone. But once we get the one-to-many, we can have one pilot be in control of 20, 100, 1,000, eventually drones.
And I guess, timing of getting those regulatory approvals, has that worked about as well as you thought it would? Or I know sometimes government processes end up taking a little longer than maybe you anticipated. How is the timing and the process of being able to go through that regulatory process been for you in the business?
Yeah, I used to work for government. I worked for the Navy as a civilian scientist, so I'm very familiar with government timelines. But so one of our advisors, Vijay Samandapelli, is when he worked for American Robotics, he was in charge of the first company to get the BVLOS waiver for commercial drone operations. And so he has helped us through this process of preparing the documentation the way the FAA wants to see it. And with that, it's actually gone very smoothly.
Wow. Well, you're so fortunate to have your experience working in the Navy, but then to have an advisor that has some significant experience as well, figuring out how to navigate those highly regulated areas. That can sometimes really hamstring a business. So kudos to you and the team for navigating that. Let's switch gears here, and I have kind of a broader question for all of you. You know, if you were to ask someone just on the street to draw a physical representation of artificial intelligence, like most people are going to draw a robot. I think especially over the past, especially before a couple of years ago when we got ChatGPT and chatbots, you know, some people might draw, you know, computer screen now because of the prompts, but most people associate artificial intelligence technology with robotics. But there's also this thing where a lot of the talk about AI is what it can do and what it might do in the future and all of this. All three of you are obviously working on products that are in the field and making an impact today. How do you, as entrepreneurs, get over the thought that, you know, AI is cool and novel, but maybe unproven, and is something that is going to have an impact in the future, versus you actually have something that you're, you know, building right now? How do you get over that in conversations with consumers or even investors with your companies?
I can speak to that a little bit. I actually used to work at, in addition to ExxonMobil, I worked for Qualcomm for a bit, and I was put on a team for AI and machine learning research and development. And they were actually compiling a bunch of the perception and computer vision models that were out there, and then running them on their own semiconductor technologies, and then publishing the data, sharing that with people. So it was really great to just kind of click around some of their websites and see the capabilities of the technology and the models that's out there today. And just kind of looking around and familiarizing myself with what's off the shelf, what's already out there working, kind of got the gears turning in my brain, especially since I came from a background of trying to find new technologies and apply it to maintenance events. And then I was able to connect the two, but just kind of familiarizing myself with, okay, what are other people doing? What is out there? How can I put these together in a creative way? It's almost like going back to kindergarten and doing arts and crafts. Like how can I put these things together in a unique way that maybe someone else didn't think of, or maybe just nobody is doing yet? And then talking to the right people to kind of run the ideas by them and getting some validation, that was really helpful too. But honestly, just having a open mind about it and getting creative, I think that's honestly the fun part.
Got it. Got it. And here's another, Amos, unless you have something, I saw you came off mute.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's the broad conversation about AI and the opportunities and threats and the tools and everything else. The way I look at it and the way we engage with our users and investors and so on, we are basically looking at AI as something that we are using to solve a real world problem. Like, we're not doing AI for the sake of building something that is cleverer than us or more capable than us. It's something that solves a problem. We're actually combining, like I mentioned in the talk earlier, layers of, you know, some of it is like super AI, not super AI, but like super clever, and some of it is much more classical in how the robot behaves and so on. And also, one of the comments I made earlier is, like, in our case, the device can't actually do anything by itself. It's a tool. Like, the wheels are not motorized. It can't start deciding where it's going to drag you around, or it really is a tool that the individual works with and learns how to experience the world through. So I think it's important to sort of understand AI and the capabilities that we have at our disposal as tools that we can use, not necessarily as overlords or things that go crazy.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Amos, and thank you again to all of the entrepreneurs who have pitched. Our judges are now back with the big decision that I know everyone watching has been waiting on. I want to turn it over now to Medea, one of our judges, to lead the announcement of our winner. Medea, take it away.
Thank you so much. I feel honored. First of all of you entrepreneurs, you did an amazing job. It was such a difficult decision. Feel free to catch up with us. We are here to help, to invest, and so forth. So it's the starting point of a long-term journey. So I will not keep you wait forever. We chose Glidance for a few different reasons. First of all, the impact of the tech, we believe, would be immense. It's really linked to the SDGs of inclusion, diversity, and economic empowerment, a bunch of others. With the leverage of robotics and AI and data, we also believe if Amos and team, you face competition down the line, you can leverage the learnings of the next few months and years journey. You can sell those learnings probably very profitably. And so I look forward to see your pitch in our investment team inbox. I'm just very excited for the future of your company. This doesn't take away from all the other participants anything, because you guys are onto something, each and one of you, great teams, incredible experience and expertise, and great markets. So I hope I gave the gist of the discussions that we just came out of. Please feel free to chime in.
Yeah, I'll just say phenomenal solutions, all of them. Congratulations to each and every one of the contestants. I thought the technologies were superb. And each one of those I would really want to back in some way, shape, or form. So I would encourage everybody, and I know that Guillaume will organize some sessions after the event, but please get in touch with me. Because each one of these technologies is world changing in its own way, and I'd love to be part of your journey going forward.
Yes, thank you all for your passion for your projects and your tech. You all have great experience, and that experience is what we look for in founders. So keep up the great work.
Yeah, one thing from my side, more than happy to contact you and guide you. We have at NVIDIA a lot of things that we believe that we can help and support in order to expedite the process. I put my my email in the chat, so don't hesitate, reach out. We are here to help.
Can I say thank you?
Yeah, Amos, take 30 seconds if you have anything to share, but before we close out.
I just want to say thank you. This is I can't believe this, and the opportunity that you all create for us to come forward and engage. I can't. Luke and I were chatting in the background with just the amazing caliber that's on this call, in this pitch competition, and it's just a real moment for me personally, that the recognition that's coming from you to the work that we're doing. I'll pass it on to my wife. She'll be very excited. My family, our friends, and everyone who's involved in this project will be very, very touched by the recognition through this program. So thank you so much for that.
Well, thank you again, Amos, for not just experiencing something difficult, but taking that difficult experience and now creating a product, creating a business that can impact people all around the world that are part of the community. And thank you again to all of our other businesses who pitched. Looking forward to seeing your businesses continue to grow. To close us out, I want to pass it back to Guillaume from the ITU for closing remarks. Guillaume, take it away.
Thank you, Brandon. So thanks to all of you. Like, thanks to our finalists. Thanks to and congratulations to the winner, all the juries, and you, Brandon, for this great moderation. For the finalists today, we'll keep in touch with you and have another closed session to hear more about your business plan in detail and help you explore further business opportunities with the judges. And we also encourage you to check out the AI for Good program online to see more sessions that may be of interest to you. And we are very much looking forward to welcoming you in Geneva, the winner and the finalists for the upcoming AI for Good Global Summit. So save the dates, 8th to the 11th of July in Geneva. See you there and have a lovely day, afternoon, or evening, whatever you are. And see you next time here in AI for Good. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you for participating in today's AI for Good session. We hope you've learned something new, innovative, and engaging in today's event. We now encourage you to continue the conversation on the live video wall in the neural network. Here you can ask questions, like and comment, share links, complete the poll, connect with interesting profiles, or speak one-on-one using the chat and video function. We invite you to explore the lobby, try the smart matching quiz, visit the virtual exhibits, poster boards, the eShop, and build your personalized AI for Good program. Let's shape the future of AI for Good.